Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So as promised last week, we're continuing on with the read-throughs this weekend. So we're getting around to the next part of the Black Hammer Omnibus, which I just finished recording. So now we're going to dive into the next volume of A Bride Story by Kaoru Mori. So I'm really looking forward to that. Before we begin, as always, I want to let you know if you like my content, please do consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff, because it really does help me out a lot. It really does mean a lot to me to know that people do watch these videos, that they do enjoy them. Because I can see stuff like view counts and things on videos. Seeing people after pushing the like button, leaving a comment, really lets me know that you did enjoy it. It really kind of keeps me motivated to keep creating more content like this. So if you'd like to help me out with that, I would really, really appreciate that a lot. But without further ado, let us dive into it with Bride Story Volume 2 by Kaoru Mori. As we have Chapter 6, The Bread Oven. Looking forward to this. You have Amir going, "I'm off," as the mother-in-law's like, "Alright, say hello for us." You have, "Huh? Where's Amir going?" It's like, "So like you. The moment you realize you can't go, you forget it completely." He's like, "Eh?" It's like, So today's oven day? And you see all these women in this, around this massive ovens, just like all kneading bread, poking patterns into it, as they're cooking and baking and chatting. And you see Amir just like hanging around as he's listening into all the conversations. And you have, "I'm heading home." It's like, "Okay, see you." And you see, "May I sit here?" It's like, "Be my guest." God. Poor baby. You see her just like trying to flitting around the edges, like trying to find a place to sit, get in. You have, "Oh dear, so many?" It's like, "Having 10 boys must be so troublesome." It's like, where to begin? They're at that age where they eat everything. And you see her just like rushing back and forth and glancing around. You see this girl with like these braids at the back, seeing her glancing around going, "Here, you can sit here. Do you have an excuse me? Could you scoot over a bit?" And she just like bursts, just like pushing the other women out of the way. And she said, "Thank you so much." It's like, "It's nothing. When it's crowded, you have to say something or they'll never let you in." It's like, "Is that right? Do you have an O?" And you see she's pressing like little patterns into the bread. Sorry. You see? Yeah, pushing little patterns into the bread there. And Jeff, "It's beautiful. How do you do that?" He's like, "Huh? How? You use this stamp and press it wherever you want, like this." And you see Amir just like taking in, just like pressing little patterns into it, the peta peta. He's like, "This is," like, and she starts singing, "So this is so very beautiful, and so it's too bad it will be eaten soon." And you see all the other ladies just smiling and laughing, going, "What an amusing girl." It's like, "There's nothing wrong with singing. I don't think it's anything to laugh about." He's like, "Please don't pay any attention to them. They're in the wrong for laughing." And Amir just completely unfazed, is like, "In the wrong about what?" It's like, "Huh? When you're singing, they were laughing, right?" And she's like, "They were laughing?" And you see a braided girl just like looking away all embarrassed. And she's like, "My name's Amir. What's yours?" It's like, "It's Paria." It's like, "Oh, Paria." And you see as he's talking to the mother-in-law later, it's like, "The daughter of the Togonosh family. She's very nice. She certainly is." No, Amir's like, "Is that Amir or is that the other sister-in-law?" It's like, "She certainly is decisive." It's like, "Paria's about the right age. Has a husband been found for her?" So I hear they're looking, but haven't found anyone right for her yet. Perhaps they'll decide on that boy from the Noft family. It's like, "Oh, but don't breathe a word of this, but Ellie is set to marry him." And Carl looks like they know everything. And you see later at the oven as everyone else is gone except for her. And you see Amir sees her and she's like, "Ah, hello." Oh, sorry, so I think it's supposed to be the next day that they're doing it there early. And she's like, "Is it just you, Miss Paria?" It's like, "Eh?" It's like, "Yes, the others are here, but they've gone home." It's like, "Oh my, how pretty." It's like, "Just amazing, it's so beautiful." And you see the little bread she's made. It's like, "Thank you." It's like, "Oh, it's so hot." And you see Amir just like rolling up her sleeves as she's sticking the bread inside the oven. It's like, "Yes?" It's like, Nothing." It's like, "Amir, you came here to be married, right?" It's like, "Yes." And Paria, your marriage is coming soon, right? And she's silent. She's just like rolling out some bread. She's like, yes, it's coming soon. My parents are searching for a husband right now. And as we're working away, she's like, I'm sorry, that was a lie. The truth is, I've met with several prospects and been refused by all of them. She's like, oh? It's like, I'm constantly told I'm too cheeky. He's like, is that so? He's like, yes. It's like, are you cheeky? He's like, eh? He's like, no, it's just that everybody says it. He's like, getting all flustered and embarrassed. It's like, of course, I think that being cheeky is wrong too. So I'm always trying to keep myself in check. And Amir's like, I don't think you're cheeky. And if you're trying, then things will be fine. He's like, yes, that's true. I hope that's true. And as they're sitting nearby waiting for the bread to finish, Amir's like, it should be about that time. And she goes and like lifts the lid off to check on it. He's like, oh, look at this. Your bread is baked beautifully. She's just blushing again. She's like, thank you. He's like, Amir, you know, if you don't, it'll only make things difficult for you. You really should speak up for yourself more. And he's like, but there isn't much like that I want to say. It's like, but that's just wrong. You have to be more forthright. I mean, you don't go out much except to the ovens, right? And he's like, I went to visit a relative not long ago. It's like, is that all? Not even to market? It's like, no, I've never been to market. It's like, the next time I'm able to go, will you be my guide? She's like taken aback, but he's like, of course I will. And you see later as the mother-in-law's like, Amir isn't home yet? That's odd. She left quite a while ago. And you see the other daughter-in-law just poking her head out, and she sees Amir and Parya just like chatting together. And he's like, oh, now that is an unusual combination. And so Parya gives her the bread she made, and she goes, Amir, this is for you. It's like, oh, may I really? It's like, please, have it. And she looks up for a second like thoughtful. She's like, please wait a moment. I'll give you something in return. Okay, I see where this is going. I was like, no, please don't bother. And she goes running off inside, returns with her bow. And you see like a bunch of birds that are flying overhead. So she knocks her bow and just lets it loose, and she's just watching as like it falls down. And Parya's just looking at her amazed. She's like, they're very tasty roasted. He's like, thank you. And you see later, as Kaoru looks watching, you have turn over your wrist. This one, use this finger. Yes, that's the way. And you see good day. So you see that Amir's giving Parya also lessons in how to shoot a bow. It's like, then you guide it back, and you see the other little kids be like, this is how you do it. This way, like this. Kaoru looks like there are more of them now. We have chapter 7 with, I say, the sun is frightfully bright, is it not? And you see, reporter, traveler bro, just like holding a little sheaf of papers over his head. And Kaoru looks like, huh? You came without a hat? So it was nice and cool in town. And it was cloudy when we left, so I didn't expect I'd need one. I'm afraid I underestimated nature. And he's like, Amir, do you have anything? He's like, you mean cloth? He's like, or something like it. And Party just like digs around. He's like, Amir, use this. And she hands her a cloth. She's like, we found something. Miss Parya bought it. He's like, well, I am in your debt. And you see him just like wrapping around his head like a shawl. And Kaoru looks like, perhaps you ought to wear it another way. You look like a woman that way. It's like, It's like, if you sort of wrap it like this, and he's like mimicking like motions above his head. It's like, he's more absent-minded than I thought. And Amir's like, you think so? It's like, they say he's supposed to be doing research? What does he do with what he finds out? Is he going to live here? It's like, I don't know. I never heard. And you see him wrapping it up almost like a turban. It's like, it's still not quite right, but, well, good enough. And as they're walking by, I was like, what might that be down there? He's like, that's a Holkia mausoleum. It's like, mausoleum? It's like, in other words, it's a grave. It's like, oh, would you mind terribly if I had a look? And Kaoru looks like, actually, it's a place that men generally aren't supposed to enter. But since you're a foreigner, Mr. Smith, we finally get his name. He's like, I wouldn't touch anything, though. And Smith is like, understood. I'll be back soon, as he just like takes off down towards it. And Party's like, Amir, you should pay your respects, too. It's like, you think so? And you see her just like nervously, Party's like hiding nervously behind her. She's looking at Kaoru for permission. He's like, go if you like. I'll wait outside. It's like, okay. He's like, It's smaller than I expected. And you see as inside, there's like some rugs and things laid out nearby. And Party's like, it may be small, but it's famous. People come from far away just to visit it. He's like, oh, is that right? So what is its benefit? She's like, It's divine power, it's miracle. Does it cure some illness? She's like, no. Perhaps it grants long life? She's like, no. And she's getting more and more embarrassed. Like, it's nothing like that. It's like, women can. He's like, women can. And she's like trying to write some notes. And Carla comes running up with a, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith. He's like, if you please. He's like, among women, Holkia is rumored to have granted one woman safe births for her more than 40 children before she passed away. In other words, women come when they want to become pregnant or have a safe delivery. He's like, oh, now I see. You see how Amir hears that she also starts blushing. He's like, but 40 children, extraordinary. He's just like jotting down notes. He's like, wonder if the number has any special significance. So you have Chapter 7, Battle, Part 1. And you see as they're heading up the hill, you have Amir going, someone's coming. It's like, over there in that valley. It's like, you're right. Somebody visiting the mausoleum? And as she looks, as Amir keeps looking, she kind of has like a gasp of recognition. Jeff, it's Amir. It's like, over there? It's like, I'm sure of it. That's probably her husband with her. So I assume that's her brother and the rest of her family. It's like, really? So we don't have to go into town for her after all. And Carl looks like, your brother? It's like, yes, my brother, the eldest. And everyone's with him. I wonder why. And Smith is like, I recommend we withdraw immediately. And Pari is like, I should greet them too. As Amir goes running off to greet them. She's like, brother, uncles. And he's like, it is you, Amir. It's been a while. You remember me? It's like, yes, you haven't changed at all. And Karluk also comes behind to pay his respects. And they're like, that the groom? It's like, it's an honor to meet you, uncle. I am Amir's husband, Karluk, son of Akunbek. And he's just silent before he goes, I see no children have been born. Amir's like, looks down, both get all embarrassed. He's like, no children, not yet. And he's like, I thank you for coming so far. You must be tired. Please come to my family home. He's like, we'll have a meal prepared. I'm sure my family will be thrilled to. He's like, that won't be necessary. And you see Pari just kind of like standing in the background watching them, confused. He's like, Amir, your horse, did you walk? He's like, my horse is just over there. He's like, good, get it, we're going home. She's like, what? It's like, to our village. You're coming home. Come, Amir. And Carl looks like, Amir. He's like, what does this mean? The sudden talk of going home. The uncle's like, what else? We've come to take back Amir. She's too much wife for you. Find yourself another. And you see Amir looking around, glancing, and seeing that they've got their swords and their bows and everything all on their saddles. And you see Karluk stepping in front of her and going, that isn't possible. Amir and I are married, and I will decide what happens to her. And you see her just kind of like getting down behind him, trying to take cover. And you see a come as someone tries to grab her by the arms, like, what are you doing? And you see a whip as they lash out with one of their, like a little knotted rope that they used to slap him on the arm with. He's like, ow! It's like, Karluk! It's like, forget him. It's like, this is a clan matter. Keep out of it. Enough of this. Grab her and let's go. And as they're trying to make off with their party, I was like, I have to tell the others about this. It's like, your father is telling you to come home. Are you disobeying? Do you think it's all right for a daughter to oppose her father? And Karluk's like, Amir, never mind me. Just run back to the house. He's like, we have no business with the boy. As long as you come home, we won't harm him. He's like, what will we do? Forget the horse and take her back with us now? It's like, we don't have a spare horse. It will be difficult riding double. It's like, this should have been done by now. I want to make sure she has nothing here to come back to. And as he pulls out his sword, she's like, no, please don't. No. He's like, stop that. Stop. That will only make things harder. And you see her brother riding off going, I'll go get the horse. And you see one of the other uncles or whatever resheathing his swords. He goes, oh. And you see Amir chasing after her brother going, brother, what is the meaning of this? He's like, you heard, didn't you? The elders have ordered you back. He's like, why? It's like, they need a bride to give to the Numaji. He's like, I'm already given here. It's like, there are no other girls of marrying age. It's like, no others? What about Kalia or Atalui? It's like, they were given, but they all died. And she just kind of stops, shocked by this news, as the brother keeps galloping off. And you have Smith just hiding behind the tree, freaking out, as the brother comes and grabs her horse and goes, long time no see, Solkeek. And he heads back to her and goes, get on, Amir. And you have the sheep herder coming by on his mule going, hey, what's going on? Some kind of argument? He's like, what are you, a child left alone? He's like, I've been in this region long enough to understand what I'm doing. And the shepherd's like, huh? It's like, this land and all of the people who live in it hold a special place in my heart. And I know even beyond the cold descriptions in books that domestic livestock is a vital factor in inheritance. But given our present circumstances, I want you to know that the actions I take now have been forced upon me. It's like, what are you blabbering about? And he just unhooks his little turban and goes, ho, hoa! He just starts running as he's like waving it at the sheep to scare them. He's like, you bastard, what the hell are you doing? He's like, hey, stop that! And he starts some stampeding towards Amir and her family. He's like, oh, I was like, what's with these sheep? He's like, you bastard! It's like, both of you, this way! And you see Amir just like nodding as she runs towards him. And you see Karluk just like leaping over the sheep and running. He's like, I won't forget this! It's like, I beg your pardon, forgive me, I'm truly sorry! And you see Karluk heading towards his horse and going, Arakra! And he gets on and goes, Amir! And he's just like, as he's rushing towards him, he grabs her by the arm and hoists her up behind him as they take off back towards town. And the father's like, damn those interfering! It's like, no matter, we know where they live, don't we, Azel? It's like, Azel, this is your fault! They should have been done with the first time, but time and again, it's like, when threatened with that, anybody would run. He's like, now lead the way! He's like, of all the... Like, let's take him the long way around. It's like, stop that. And Jeff, what is it? What happened? As you see Parya back with the daughter-in-law trying to explain what happened. And her father was like, speak up, don't stand on ceremony. It's like, it's awful. We were at the Holkia Mausoleum and a bunch of men tried to take Amir. And then, and you see Daka 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 as Carla comes speeding in. And Smith's like, I knew that chiefs are cowards at heart and they panic in any little thing. It's like, Mr. Smith, please calm down, Mr. Smith. He's like, Father, people from Amir's family came in. It's like, again? It's like, eh? It's like, they're already coming close. The young men are going out to stop them, but it's like, is that so? It's like, I won't let them set one foot in our town. It's like, but this is a disaster. For your relatives to have come to this? It's like, well, maybe we made a small misjudgment. It's like, the late chief elder used to be an honorable man. It's like, it's a pretty common story. They have 10 horsemen at most. I don't think they can do much damage, but it's like, who do you people think you are? You have no say in our business. It's like, no say? Sure, we got a say. Problems in the town are the business of all the townspeople. We're not letting outsiders run roughshod over our town. That's subtly the name of the town assembly. And you see the townspeople just like forming a little mob to stop them. It's like, what is the problem with these people? It's like, go away, go home. It's like, yeah, go home. You ate up all the apricots in my garden tree, you thieves. It's like, they're not making any sense. And you see the other cousin being like, it wasn't all of them. It's like, enough, out of my way, you meddlers. And you see as they're trying to run by, you see them like grabbing at the saddle and be like, push him back, push him back, push him all the way back. It's like, let go. It's like, you. And you see them just getting mobbed, just like beating the horses on the flank to try to get them to get off. So you got something to say, get off your horses and say it. You're not getting a step past here until you do. And they're just like throwing rocks at them as well. And you see as they're riding off, you see them set up camp out in the plains. And you see Azel coming back with a fox that he's caught. He's like, I wasn't able to catch much. It's like, it's enough. It's like, all the way here only to sleep outdoors. I want rice or something real to eat. It's like, well, we're not going into town, so deal with it. So we should have gone to the market before all this happened. It's like, I wonder what all the old men are thinking of doing. It's like, who knows? They'll figure something out. Probably nothing much we can do but stand on either side glaring at each other. It's like, say, Azel, back then, did you let her go? It's like the Numaji. You know, they've got power, they've got land and plenty of wealth, but they're not the kind of people you really want as relatives, huh? Those guys treat their women pretty terribly. They say the reason Atlui died was because they kicked her until her bones broke. Good lord. It's like, this is what our uncles decided. It's not business we can pry into. It's like, I guess you're right, but you know, she's your little sister. If you said something, then maybe, yeah, but it's cooked. Let's eat. Has it got some skewers of meat? And he's like, you too. It's like, don't tease Azel too much. It's like, eh? It's like, I'm not teasing anyone. What's that supposed to mean? And you see as the elder brother, I assume, goes off to see what the elders are talking about. It's like, I want to know why they have stock to stick their noses into this. Do people of this town always butt into others' private family business? It's like, right? It's like, is this all? It's like, I'll bring the rest after. So you brought along some bread, right? Bring that too. It's like, well, doesn't matter. We're going back with Amir, even if we have to tie her up and drag her home. So are we going at dawn? It's like, night would be best. If we're going, the sooner the better. It's like, right, we can't stay here forever. Those townsmen are just donkey people. When it comes to it, they'll just bay and run home. Jabba, hey, we're going, come on. We're going to take her and go home. Stop loafing around. And Jeff, you go on ahead, Hazel. And if you find Amir, you're to do whatever it takes to bring her back. And you see that the townspeople are watching with putting guards. They go, they're coming just as we thought. It's like, I hope they might have given up and go home, but they're not quite so peace-loving as that. It's like, well, that decides it for us. If that's the way they want it. It's like, Father! It's like, true, it doesn't give us much choice. It's like, tell everyone they don't have to hold back. Any past relations with them are now severed. Carl looks like, Father, I'll go too. It's like, no, you stay here. You are not to take part. You leave this to the rest of us. And you see poor Amir as the grandmother's consoling her. He's like, Atuli. He's like, how could Atuli be? She was so healthy and full of life. They say she fell ill and nothing could be done. And the grandmother's like, the Numaji? I've heard of them. They're barbarians who rely on force to solve their problems. You'll be fine. You're our daughter. We'll never let you be taken there. So you have Chapter 8, Battle Part 2. And you see as Hazel is trying to make his way to the town, he's galloping into the town. He comes to a stop and is like, what is it? They're lying in wait, are they? It's like, no. It's like, what is this? Nobody's here? Bit arrogant, isn't it? Not that we're ones to talk. Jeff, hey, don't stop. We're not at Amir's house yet, are we? And you see that the town is completely silent as they're slowly making their way in. It's like, why are you going so slow? Get moving! And you hear, now, get him! As you see people on the rooftops. Like idiots. So you see they funneled them into the town and they're all hiding on like the roofs and the walls. And now they're just throwing a bunch of bricks at them now that they've got them funneled in to this narrow alleyway. It's like, get them good! And you see poor Amir just watching all this commotion go down from the house. And she's looking kind of like torn. Because it is her family, you know, that they're fighting against. Carla's trying to comfort her. And as he goes and sits beside her, Carla just grabs him in a hug. He's like, what? What's wrong? And you can see that she's shaking. And he's like, it's all right, Amir. It's all right. And you have ruff, 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 as the dog's barking, all the commotion. And the horses are also all getting antsy. He's like, bring more, a lot more. He's like, no, not that one. You're trying to kill him? You see this guy just hefting like this mini boulder that he's about to throw. And you see them just hurling like brick after brick after brick. And he's like, hey, hold this. Like, one fell off his horse. He's like, all right, go, get him, take him down. And you see him like pulling out his sword to keep him back. It's like, whoa, watch out. This one's still got life in him. It's like, you bastards. And you see the next one, they got a net that they drag over him to capture him, and then they start beating him with sticks. With a gun, I was like, hey! It's like, this'll teach you, you bastard! He's like, don't make light of me! And the other one takes out a sword and cuts through the sticks. It's like, watch out, get back, this way! And as they're riding through the town, they stretch out a piece of rope at waist level to knock him off the horse. It's like, we did it, we got him! It's like, pull him down! He's like, Hazel, I think we're in trouble here. It's like, now, let's take out the rest, as they start charging towards them. And Hazel just turns tail and starts walking away. Oh, sorry, what's going on? Hold on. So they hear a sound. What is going on? Oh, there was a blam sound, and you see that someone sitting on the roof has got a rifle. Like, hey, what are you aiming at? It's like, if I aim lower, I may hit one of ours, right? It's like, then what's the point? It's like, if it stops them, then it's worth it, because it's firing a bullet off into the air just to scare them off. It's like, hey, you, quit wasting bullets. It's like, oh no, it's like, we can't fight this. Not if they're going to bring that kind of thing into it. Jeff, take this. I don't know if they're hurling like water or oil or something else, like just mud at them, like hurling buckets of stuff at them. It's like, wow, serves you right. It's like, who's dirty now? And you see, as like the guy's calling for more reinforcements. Carl looks like, I'll be right back. It's like, yeah, we took care of them. 5 of them. We managed to capture 5 of them. I expect taking down the rest is just a matter of time. It's like, did you? That's excellent. It's like, well, we can't drop our guard until we have them all. It's like, leave that to us. We'll never let them get this far. Right, I'm headed back. I came to get some water to refresh and rest. And they're like, be careful. Like, it seems to be going well. It's like, yes, but I wonder. And you see Carl look and notice a little pile of weapons lying nearby. So he goes and takes one of the daggers. And his father still notices him nearby and goes, Karluk, don't leave your wife alone. It's like, yes, father. And you see that Azel's starting to knock arrows and start to shoot them at the villagers with a duthok. And you see that they're like trying to block with like these little wooden bowls and things they have. Jeff, Azel, we have to get out of here. We're too badly outnumbered. This is futile. It's like, hey, Azel. It's like, you go on ahead. With this many gathered here, the house must not be heavily guarded. It's like, huh? It's like, you know the way to Amir's house. I'll hold him here, you go. It's like, wait! It's like, hold it, come on! And you see, like, the villagers trying to rush him, and then firing off arrows to keep him back. It's like, out of my way, I'll get him! And you see, he knocks an arrow and fires it at the cloth, pinned it to the ground, so that they can't try to grab him with it. It's like, you? As they try to hurl a couple of bricks, he shoots an arrow, and that's what falls down. It's like, careful, get back! It's like, you dirty, and they try to like lasso him and he just cuts the rope with his sword. It's like, stay back everybody, somebody bring up a big board. And you see that Azel's completely surrounded. Jeff, hey, stay back! And then you see someone rushing over, leaping off a wall and right onto him, knocking him down into the floor. It's like, he did it! And as he's like pressing it down on him, he uses his staff to like smack him in the face and he goes, don't get carried away, you bastard! So that's, I assume, Karluk's older brother. It's like, good, keep him held down, don't let him go. And you see the other one going, Amir's house, Amir's house. Like, damn it, did I take a wrong turn? It's right around here, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's like, I saw one. It's like, where? And as he's running, he sees her on the balcony. He's like, Amir! It's like, I found her, but what am I supposed to do? From above? I could go from that roof over there. No, they'd see me for sure. It's like, there he is! It's like, oh no! It's like, bastard, how'd you get all the way here? Or all these shows make my throat dry. You have a wait? It's like, oh, damn it, stop! You see him just bashing at him. And you see on the next one is they're cutting him up. I don't know what... I have to look into it, but you see after to capture them all, they're taking the horse's tails and they're cutting a big chunk of it off. And they're just kind of like spilling in front of them. I guess this is a sign of like prestige or something. And he goes, we will only do this once. Next time we won't stop at cutting manes and tails. We cannot let people think we let you off lightly, so we're going to teach you a little lesson. He goes, take them outside of town and leave them to dry in the sun. Not long enough to kill them. It's like, yes, sir. It's like, hey, get up. It's like, they said more about this Numaji clan. It's like, yes, the Numaji have gained a lot of power recently. It's like, have they always been that way? It's like, ever since they formed connections with the Northerners. And you see Karluk just kind of looking down at the dagger. He's like squirreled away, which he hides and goes back with a, what do we do about the bricks? If we don't clean those up, we can't use those roads. It's like, it's late, we can do it tomorrow. Ooh. And you see back at the house, you have the father snuck in, he's grabbed Amir. He's like, I have you now, Amir. It's like, it's all because you didn't come back immediately, joining these townsmen and making sport of us. He's like, come on, stand up. And you see that she's trying to resist, like holding onto the balcony. And he pulls her over, like, stand up, you little... And you see Karluk with the running and grabbing onto it, leaping out with his feet and kicking the father. With the kuh! He's like, Amir, get inside! Now! It's like, you brat! And he tries to pull out his sword. And Karluk pulls out the tiny dagger and just stabs him in the leg with it. And he lets out a scream as Karluk knocks him over the balcony into the trees below with a snap-snapness kathuk. It's like, he fell over there! He's like, oh, it's like, so there's one still hanging around, you rotten bastard! And you see the others just all beating on him as Karluk says, like, just managed to grab onto a tree branch in the tree. And he climbs back up where the grandmother and the mother-in-law are protecting Amir. And she's like, Karluk, and she goes and like grabs him in a hug. It's like, Amir, is like, Amir. And she just like won't let him go, like tears dripping down her face. Yeah, Karluk. The brother's like, oh? He's like, ah. And you see as he's trying to get up, she just like squeezes him back down. He's like, Sulkeek is off near the big willow tree outside of town. So you should retrieve her. That's what that big brother of yours said. And he's like, hear that, Amir? So let's go together tomorrow, Amir. And you see as a chapter 9, you have, I assume this is Amir bathing herself. As you have Heart of a Bride. And you have a cheap as you have like the birds outside the windows. And she's got absolutely gorgeous hair. And you see her all getting dressed, and you have Mr. Smith outside with Carla going, and this? So let's see, Ogswan, maybe? I think it's probably the name of a place. So that's just fine, as long as I know the pronunciation. So the writing in this area is quite different, isn't it? So you think so? So perhaps an outsider can see that better. And you see Carla just like whittling away a piece of wood. He's like, what is it that you're making? It's like a bit. Arakra bites down on it. And he sees Amir nearby running off into, I assume, the house. And you see the next page, she's got like the shawl wrapped around her. And he sees it, So he sees like all the men outside. He's like, Amir, we have people visiting over here, so what you're wearing is... And he sees that she's got like a bundle of clothes. So I assume she's going to try to go help her brother and the others out, and that's why she's kind of like saying in disguise, it's like, I see. And she just like takes off running. And he's like, something the matter? And Smith is like, something the matter? Carla's like, nothing. Yeah, Carla, come over here. It's like, hey, Carla, you really saved the day back there. He looked a naked blade in the eye, but never flinched. He grabbed the ruffian and threw him off the roof. It's like, wait, I didn't throw. It's like, and the villain plummeted headfirst all the way down. It was thrilling. You see, the look, he's just like watching with awe. And you see later as Amir's just kind of like hanging out in the balcony. Sitting down. He's like, what's wrong, Amir? He's like, are you alright? And she sounds up with a boosh. She's like, I'm fine, it's nothing. And she sits back down. It's like, I'm perfectly fine. It's like, right, I hope so. And you see later that night, he's like, say, Amir? It's like, yes. It's like, you look as if you're about to slip out from under the covers. Why are you so far away? And you see that she's completely at the opposite end from him. And she just glances at him. And then turns around and puts her back to him. You can see the next few days she just seems to be avoiding him, so he's just looking down at her as she's helping with the cooking. He's like, Amir? It's like, yes, don't you think she's acting a little strangely? It's like, you think so? I don't know, I don't sense she's acting any different. It's like, well, now that you mention it, she's not quite as enthusiastic as usual. But you know, recent events may have taken their toll. They were her relatives, people she's known for years, so it may be a complicated issue for her. It's like, I know it can't be helped, but it means she's cut off ties with her home. So the father going, she has much to think about. Talk to her. So he goes to her and is like, Amir? It's like, yes? It's like, is there something you'd like to talk about? You can talk to me about anything. Like, something I want to talk about? It's like, I never intend to send you back, Amir, and I'm very glad you didn't return with them. But I realize they're your family. So Amir, and as he's like trying to reach out to her, so he just like holds back a little bit. She pulls back and she just like turns around all embarrassed, like, Amir's like, have you taken a disliking to me? And she's like, no! He's like, oh! It's like, no, I haven't. I have not. It's like, is that so? And you have gone out? Amir has? It's like, yes, this morning. It's like, oh, didn't you know? It's like, not at all. It's like, without saying a word? And you can see as she's taken off horseback riding. You have, I wonder what is the matter with Amir? It's like, it seems recently she's been avoiding Karluk. Even if she hasn't taken a disliking to him, perhaps the atmosphere has soured. And the grandmother's like, she's gained the heart of a bride. And the mother's like, oh, I have no idea what that was to mean. And you see she's gone off hunting and she's come back with this tiny like doe like cradle around her shoulders. Karluk's like, what? It's like, what is that for? It's like, nothing. I thought it might be good for today's lunch, and so some time ago you said that you'd like to try tasting it. And he's like, this is for me? It's like, yes. It's like, it's fattened up quite well, and it's female, so it should taste very good. It's like, yes, you're right. It's like, it's amazing, thank you. It's like, and this, and this, and this too. It's like, whoa. She just like throws a fox and like a bunch of other fruits and stuff she picked for him as well. See, later that night, she's just like spoiling him with food. She's like pushing like all this food on him. And you see later that night as he's playing a tune, you see her just dancing for him. And then you see them have like a couple of moments, just like putting on his hat. She's like trying to grab her and tickle her. It's very, very adorable. And you see, as you see as the father and mother here, and it's like, ooh, romance is in the air as they start kissing, getting to it. And you have chapter 10. It's like, Mr. Smith, you have a visitor. It's like, what's that? A visitor for me? It's like, ah, there, that's the man, right? If you're talking about a Westerner here, he's it. That's the guy. He's like, excuse me, but are you Mr. Smith? He's like, ah, yes, I'm Smith. He's like, I have letters to be delivered to you. It's like, this fellow came all the way from Macedonia just to deliver these. It's like, Macedonia, that's right, by the sea. It's like, nah, the sea's farther away. It's like, I work as an aide to one Mr. Hawkins. He said you and he were friends in your country. He's like, oh, yes. Excuse me. It's like, oh, is that right? So he's coming this direction. It's like, he's now in Saloncia in Macedonia. It's like, how long can you stay? I would like to write replies once I read these. It's like, I will wait. I've been instructed to do so. It's like, have you arranged for a place to stay? It's like, no. Then you'll go at my place. You'll stay at my place. It's like, hey, no, you should stay with me. We have lots of rice and dried fruits. We even have brand new bedding. It's like, no, my house is so much better. And Karlik's father's like, of course you realize that he is our guest. Therefore, we reserve the right to have our guest stay with us. Yeah, bring tea, some tea. It's like, thank you for putting me up. It's like, make yourself at home. It's like, what's been happening lately? How do things stand in the region? It's like, things seem quite in an uproar. The steppes are especially bad. It's like, I thought it might be. How far has Russia come? And what's it like around Baghdad? Yeah, it's a guest, it's a guest. So we're going to show good manners, our manners are good. You see all the children just watching. He's like, ah, my grandchildren, come over here and greet our guest. It's like, good day, sir, very nice to meet you. Thank you for staying at our home. It's like, well, look at this. You look very much like my daughter when she was younger. It's like, oh, is that so? Jeff, Chapter 10, Cloth Preparations. Again, just phenomenal work on the designs and the art in these volumes. Yeah, thank you for coming. Please eat your fill. Don't hold back out of courtesy. Eat while it's still hot. It's like, pass a plate here. It's like, thank you. It's like, we're cutting you some meat right now. It's like, it's been so long since we've had a guest from far away. It's like, I hear you have a daughter. And Messenger's like, I had 5 daughters, and the cloth preparations were a huge problem. And Smith seems confused by this. Like, I imagine they would be. It's like, well, I managed to see them all off, but it left me with absolutely nothing. It's like, it must have been a task just to gather everything. Where did you get the fabric? It's like, it's about time for Tillich. Well, are you on top of it? And you see the wife just like motioning something. He's like, yes, coming right along. We felt we ought to get a head start. And Carl looks, but for 5? Amazing. And Smith is just like confused. He's like, the conversation back there, what was it about? And Carl looks like, back there? It's like, while we're eating. It's like, you mean about the cloth preparations? It's like, yes, that's the one. It's like, cloth preparations. It's like, when a girl's about to be married, it's like, ah, I'm here. And she's like, cloth is very important. We have to start on it now. And she's just like looking at it like, you get it, right? You get it. And she's like, here, if you could explain a bit more detail. She's like, when a woman is married, she brings with her a number of linens. Give me a second, my dogs are being dinguses. Sorry about that. She goes, when a woman is married, she brings with her a number of linens as part of her dowry. Hand towels, carrying cloths, and large items such as comforters. They all have to be embroidered, so it's best to start while the girl is still very small. Especially since the time when the wedding approaches will be totally filled with work on one's wedding clothes. It's like, oh, I see, rugs and things. It's like, no, rugs are rugs, the other types of cloth. Java, what will we actually need? So let's see, gold thread, silver thread, and beads. So we don't work on the larger things until later. And the grandmother's like, we mustn't cut corners on the dyes. And it'll be best to buy all the silk thread we'll need at once when the time comes. And the older brother's like, is that all? Anything else? It's I'd like her to go with more silk than this if possible. And the father's like, go ahead, buy it all. There's nothing to be gained by being stingy in this. It's like, still, as long as we have the materials, we'll have no worries with Tillich. Look, she shows much potential. It's like, that's true. Tillich is very good. Amazing for her age. It's like, I suppose the stitch work is good, but... And you see all the things she's embroidering are just like various shapes of hawks. And the mother's like, Tillich, they don't all have to be hawks. Why don't you do a flower or something? We've taught you different patterns, haven't we? It's like, I like doing hawks. It's like, but they don't all have to be hawks, do they? And Amir's like, oh, that's amazing. It's like, Amir, excellent timing. Could you show my daughter your embroidery? It's like, see, Tillich, just look at what Amir has. You have birds, deer, rams, a horseman. It's like, that one's so heroic. It's like, anyway, let's set aside the hawks for now and try embroidering something else, like what we taught you a little while ago. It's like, then birds? It's like, anything but birds. I'll do it with you, so let's... It's like, what? It's like, don't give me a what? It's like, ready? Now watch closely. And Party is like, embroidery you mean? It's like, yes, well, in my own way, like anybody else. And you see her with the futunk firing off the arrow. It's like, Party, you always wear such pretty clothes. It's like, yeah, well, this was half embroidered with my mother's help. It's like, help? It's like, sort of. I did work on it. I didn't do all of it. The finishing touches, you know. It's like, I'm sorry, I just don't think I have the talent for it. Let's face it, I'm terrible. I just can't do it right. It's like, is that so? But Party, you're so good at making bread. You can eat it too. It's like, bread's good. I like doing bread. But there's too much detail work in embroidery and I get annoyed with it. It's like, you get annoyed? Yes, I do. I'd rather work on a loom even. It's like, is that right? It's like, please don't tell anyone. If this gets out, it'll be even harder to find a husband. It's like, once you get married, the secret will come out, you know. And you see that Tillich is now like embroidering like a new Worley pattern in the clothes. It's like, say, mother? It's like, how much of this do we sew? It's like, all of it. The whole thing, corner to corner. And she just like looks down, and like just lies down on her mother's lap. Like, what are you doing, Tillich? It's dangerous to do that with a needle in your hand. And she watches her mother just embroidering. And she's like, I think you take after your great-grandmother, Tillich. It's like, great-grandmother? It's like, your great-grandmother Balkirch is your grandfather's mother, right? Grandmother Sanira's mother's also your great-grandmother. It's like, Of course, she passed away a long time ago, but she's very good at embroidery. I hear she's especially good at animals. They say her birds flew right off the cloth. It's like, really? It's like, she was just that good. And she looks down her drawing, just like imagines it starting to like come to life. And she's like, now sit up straight and do your sewing. This is boring. It's like, boring, not boring, it makes no difference. You have to learn how to sew anything. It's like, do I really have to? It's like, if you don't, you won't be able to show your children how to do it when you're a mother. It's like, what if my daughter likes hawks too? It's like, you'll still teach her other patterns. It's like, Tillich, haven't you seen them? Our family has used some wonderful patterns for generations. It's like, I've never seen them. It's like, huh? It's like, grandmother, these? No, not these. It's like, everything in that area. Be careful with them. Mind they don't snag on anything. It's like, see, Tillich, come over here. You've never seen these before either, right, Amir? It's like, no, I have not. It's like, hup, now have a look. You see all these beautiful, like, embroidered flowers and other patterns in there. Oh, man, just phenomenal artwork. It's like, wow, our family did all this? It's like, that's right. This is cloth your great-grandmother bought with her when she was married. This is the pattern of your great-grandmother's maiden clan. Our clan's diamond shape is a little more detailed. And Amir's like, this brings back memories. It looks much like my grandmother's. It's like, is that so? It's like, great-grandmother, did you think up all these patterns yourself? It's like, not all of them, of course. Patterns that my mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother created are packed in here too. It's like, where are my mother's patterns? It's like, now which one were hers? It's like, this one is from 6 generations back. It's like, 6 generations? It's like my grandmother's grandmother. It's like, is this your mother's? It's like, that's from 5 generations back. It's like, wait a minute, if it's easier if I show you this. It's like, now look, Tillich, this one is our family. This pattern between the squares is from 6 generations back. It's done in only 2 colors, but it's still very vibrant, isn't it? The way to sew these flowers was thought up 5 generations ago. Not only that, but she sewed lots of patterns other people would never have thought of. I hear everyone copied her. My great-grandmother simply loved the crepe pattern and would always include it in her cloth. These patterns were from my great-grandmother. They're also bright and lively. I hear she herself was a fun person to be around. Again, just phenomenal work. I cannot state that enough. It's like, this is all your stitching great-grandmother? So I'm just wondering if they're doing lawn mowing outside. Give me a second here. Sorry for the distraction. And he's like, this is all your stitching great-grandmother? It's like, that's right. And you remember how to sew them all? It's got to remember them all. It's like, and you, grandmother? It's like, yes, nearly all. It's like, of course, your mother can sew them too. They're our family's patterns after all. It's like, well, it's best to learn them gradually. And you see her just like looking at the designs. He's like, ah, these are sewn by my aunties. It's like, that's right. He's like, huh? Whose is this? It's like, ah, Shilviga was never very healthy. This is the only one she was able to make. Charuzbai was such a quiet child. Now she's in a nearby town with 5 children. Sweenok was skilled and nothing else, wasn't she? It's like she had real talent. She made this one when she was 10 years old. By the time she was 13, she was teaching all the children in the neighborhood. Thank goodness we had no trouble marrying her off. It's like, as long as one's embroidery is good. This one is Tizcon's. It's like, she had a sweet disposition, you see. Just a small line pattern. It's like, grandmother, what's this one? It's like, let's see, now this I remember. It's like, look, Tillicty, do you remember this one? It's like, swaddling clothes we received as a present when you were born. You always wore it when you were small. It's like, I don't remember. It's because suppose you wouldn't. You were just an infant then. And Amir's like, I remember. It's like, oh. It's like, I had just been born and I'd watched the sheep from a saddlebag. It's like, a saddlebag? Why were you there? It's like, I don't know. I must have been taken out to the flock. And you see them going through more patterns and designs. And you see Tillich just staring at one. It's like, do you like that one? He's like, it's the prettiest one. So you think so? It's like, what would you say, Tillich, if I gave it to you? It's like, can I really have it? It's like, of course. Now look at it closely and learn. And you see Karluk looking at Smith, who's going through all his letters, and goes, who are they from? It's like, most are from my family. I haven't been in touch for such a long time. They all ask when I'm returning home. And Karluk's like, everyone here enjoys your company, so you can stay as long as you like, but you should think of your own family as well. It's like, you're ever so right. Yes, absolutely. When I'm here, something always piques my interest, and I feel comfortable living here. It is true that I strayed rather longer than I had planned. And you hear something nearby, and you have is it Mr. Smith here? It's like, yes, I am he. You were on my way, so I was asked to stop here for your sake. It's like, what is this? It's like, forgive me, I don't know myself. I was simply asked to deliver it. As I am from England too, the person probably assumed we knew each other. It's like, is that so? Then I'm ever so grateful. It's like, don't mention it. I was planning on coming through this area anyway. It's like, so that was a woman? And she's already gone? Such a hurry? It's like, she was in trousers. It's like, she could have at least stayed for tea. And you see Smith looking at the letter with a somber look. And Karluk's like, Mr. Smith? He's like, well, I wonder what the matter is to suddenly have so many letters. And you see later as Tillich's looking at the pattern, she's going out to grab some yarn, she's trying to practice the embroidering. And you see Smith's grabbing some letters back to the messenger to deliver. And you see with Karluk that Amir's embroidered him a new little overcoat to wear. Yeah, the cloth festooned with elaborate embroidery can at times possess a value greater than money. It may reflect the maker's position in society or clan affiliation, or even tell tales of the maker herself. An especially significant cloth may be embroidered with scrupulous care and passed down through generations. A single pattern of the cloth of any particular household could represent an investment of time and effort that would make one gasp. And as Karluk's showing off his new clothes, Smith's like, oh, now that is an impressive piece. So after that cold I had, Amir had been worried. It's like, so this is a talisman? It's like, I'm not a child anymore, so I don't think I need things like this, but it's like, I think it looks absolutely splendid. So you think so? It doesn't look childish? It's like, not in the slightest. It's like, they say the cooking is done, so when you find a good time to take a break, it's like, alright. He goes, could represent an investment of time and effort that would make one gasp. And prayers and well wishes are woven into it as well. It's like, perhaps the words are too flowery? It's like, and yet within their forms there is no evidence of haste. Lost in friendly conversation, they dip their needles in and out and spin their thread in industrious occupation. Such is the time-honored custom, the scene of established routine, and thus it is their very life. And you see, as there's another messenger with a letter for Smith. Yeah, what does it say? It's like, my dear Mr. Smith, I have been able to procure the item you desired. If you'd be so kind as to come, it would be my pleasure to present it to you. So you have Chapter 11, Departure. Has he done packing? It's like, almost, I think. Well, these are the most important items. It's like, but it's too bad. We would have loved to have you for longer. It's like, I must confess I'd completely forgotten. I just recently received a message from the place I'd intended to go all along. It seems they spoke on my behalf to the clan chieftain there, and in the process acquired an item I wanted that I would like to retrieve. He's like, you'll be back? It's like, yes, perhaps. I'd certainly like to come back and visit before returning to England. Do you have an oops? It's like, I found a good horse. Its legs are especially strong, so you should have no trouble. It's tied up in the central garden. It's like, oh, is that so? Ah, it's wonderful. It's like, here, it isn't much, but you eat it on your travels. It will keep for a good long time. It's like, oh, it's like, all right, I have to return this. As he's like putting on the robe, he's like, no, please, you keep it. The nights get cold. It's like, thank you ever so much. I'll treat it with utmost care. It's like, so, where are you headed? It's like, oh, let me see. They've made arrangements for a guide to meet me in a place called Karaza. So if I could make it that far, like Karaza, like, oh, isn't that near where Uncle Boz lives? It's like, Uncle Boz? Remember, he went to buy a donkey? Oh, come on, you remember, beyond the river to the west. It's like, eh? It's like, ah, that place. It's like, if that's the case, we can escort you part of the way. The road is a little dangerous around there. It's like, could you really? I even know some good places to set up camp along the way. It's like, now that would be a great help. Truly, you're too kind. Do you see Amir just like bouncing nearby? Like, Amir, would you like to come too? It's like, yes, I'll go ready the horses. It's like, is there anything I can help with? It's like, well, thank you. Could you gather that up over there? It's like, is this a yurt? It's like, yes, I've scarcely used it though. It's like, come to think of it, I've always wondered why you came here in the first place. It's like, why I came here? So did you hear about this area from someone? Smith's like, yes, I did. It's like, it's like when I was a child, my nursemaid read bedtime stories to me, travelogues or explorers' journals. I'm sure they were books she personally enjoyed. She spoke of journeys across Asia by Carpini and Rubbrook, Marco Polo and Atkinson, and I dreamed of them, dreamed that one day I'd go too. So I hoped, and now I'm here. And Kaoru looks like, I'd love to visit your country too. It's like, would you really? It's a long way from here. It's like, will this be alright? It won't fall off halfway there? It's like, do you suppose a slightly thicker rope would hold it better? He's packed up a mule with like a bunch of stuff. It's like, the way it's tied, this should be fine. It's like, then, I want to thank you for all your hospitality. It's like, take care on the road. If your travels bring you this way again, please come see us. He's like, if we are ever to meet once more, shall we sing together and tell our tales? May all things good and wonderful be ever at your feet. May the bounty of fortune be ever at your feet. May the stars protect you by day and the moon by night. It's like, I knew it would be a wonderful poem. It's like, okay, your turn, Mr. Smith, using moon. It's like, what? You mean me? It's like, no, poems are a weak point of mine. It's like, then a song will do. It's like, songs? That's even more problematic. It's like, how about you, Amir? And she's like, moon. O moon, illuminate this road I travel. Though mountain be high and wind strong, do not fear, but be not lost. Tilt your silver cup and pour out your water of light. O moon, illuminate this road I travel. Let me wander this golden path and return safely. And heaven strum your notes. So that was really good. So let's see, strum. It's like gentle breeze strumming your curious tune. And you see as they're making their way through their various little adventures. And you see as they're traveling at night, like Kaoru looks like all cold, so Amir just kind of like wraps him up in a blanket. And you have like just like a little montage of them like traveling, camping together. And you see that's the road to the town. Travel straight, the road will lead you there directly. It's like, and this is where we part. Smith's like, thank you so much. It's like, take care. It's like, I will, you too as well. It's like, let's go home, Amir. It's like, yes. As they take off, Smith's like, they were originally people who lived constantly on the move. Thus, parting is as natural as a chance meeting. They do not turn away newcomers, nor do they chase those who leave. It's like they tread lightly in their lives. Jeff, and you see the little notes that he had was, Anglo-Russian relations have steadily declined. Thus, I fear for your safety, and beg you to avoid any areas close to Russian influence. Not all of the researchers visiting this area are industriously writing books and making names for themselves. Some have been caught up in battles or have fallen under suspicion of being spies. Many never return alive. And you have them heading over the next time with a, there it is. You have chapter 11 end. Alright. So I think it took a little bit longer than the previous volume to get through. Again, solid volume. Get some little few quick thoughts before we wrap this video up. So I'll say I really do love how Kaoru Mori's writing relationship between Karluk and Amir, because given the age gap between them, I feel like it'd be very easy to kind of like thread a fine line between it, like to show like a relationship between them without making it too like sexualized or like fetishy or like leaning too far in one direction with that. So I love that she's managed to find a way to make it wholesome, by kind of showing like the little dance in the relationship, like the little back and forth, like the growing affection for each other, the care they show to each other, and like the affection to show each other in that way without like involving anything kind of sexual into it. So I really, really appreciate that line being threaded, because I feel like a lot of other people would have a hard time kind of threading that line so neatly. Apart from that, I do appreciate she also didn't shy away from the brutality of like, like yeah, arranged marriages like happen like this, and like Carl Look and Amir's is turning out well, like they get along. She's been to a nice family, but it doesn't always end up that way. As like the cousin one pointed out, it's like sometimes the girls will be sent to a family that are very misogynistic, violent. Things will sometimes end very badly for them. So I'm glad she didn't like shy away from like the politics of that, like touching on like it's not always sunshine and rainbows. So I did really like that aspect of it. Apart from that, I really did like the part with like the rugs they're talking about, like how the rugs and like the patterns and things woven into them have like the history of the people, the clan, like everyone in the family, and like how it's like passed down through generations. I really appreciate that, and really feel like it shows how much research she's done, like in this book, like research the culture and like their traditions and everything, to make it as accurate as possible. So I really appreciate all the work put into that. I've already talked about it, but designs are phenomenal as always. So just really, really great. So really, really enjoying this reread. Looking forward to getting around to more. But yeah, so as always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, this is Ash. I will talk to you all later.